Why do you think Tom is a good candidate for the Dahl Award?
Oh, well, he's an obvious candidate for any award you want to give because he's a real visionary for Erie and has done probably more for Erie than anybody that I know.
I've always referred to him as Captain Tom for two reasons. He's a retired Navy captain, and it's out of respect. And the second is he is quite literally the captain of Erie.
He's also the conductor. He's out in front of so many initiatives. I've never seen anybody with the energy he has, the vision. And that's one of the things that he's taught me through the years. You know, you really have to be engaged, both community, civically. I consider him Erie's best ambassador.
He was Secretary of Commerce and then DCED under Tom Ridge. He was the first chairman of Team Pennsylvania and continued that through the Rendell administration. He's been president of the Pennsylvania Chamber of Commerce, and it goes on and on.
He's taught me the importance of being a part of a community and being a leader in a community, and I've looked towards him for that.
Tom is the epitome of what community service is all about. When you think about his leadership in business, philanthropy, community development, historic building preservation, the list goes on. While Tom's way much more than Erie Insurance, I shudder to think about what this community would be like without his and Erie Insurance's leadership here.
Tom certainly has done a yeoman's job in terms of allowing us to invest in the company and help it grow, and also has been a stalwart in terms of us staying focused on our headquarters and our birthplace is Erie, Pennsylvania.
He's Erie. He's Mr. Erie. He's an advocate for his employees, for the community. He's an advocate for his agents.
I started at Erie Insurance 50 years ago, and H.O.'s Hertz secretary at that time, and lead man was Tom Hagen. So I've known him since I first started with the company. And it's always been the Erie family.
It's unbelievable to think that the chairman of the board of a Fortune 500 company is stopping by to say hello and check in with the ordinary agent. But that's Tom Hagen, and that's also his son, Jonathan Hagen.
We truly treat them like family, the Erie family. This all came from our founder, H.O. Hurt. My father is really the last living person at the Erie to work closely with him. And as his disciple, he has been a guardian of H.O. Hurt's values and has helped to pass those values on to future generations in our family and in company management.
There's cranes in Erie now, and it's wonderful, and we just got to see the highest beam put on their new facility, and a year from now there'll be up to 1,500 people working there. He believes in Erie.
Tom is like a fine artist. There's something out there in the community, a blank canvas, something that needs to be solved, something that needs to be created. And I think through his vision, to make that vision a reality. And he does that by bringing people of different talents and resources together and drawing out those talents.
From my involvement with Tom and building projects, preservation projects like restoring the Watson-Curtsey Mansion, his involvement at Chautauqua Institution, Erie Insurance projects. These are all projects that without his philanthropy, they would have never happened.
We are currently restoring the Wood Morrison House. This will be a $1 million project which will turn into the education center of the Historical Society. And the neat thing about that is that when he was growing up, little Tommy Hagen lived directly across the street, and he used to see old Captain Morrison sitting in his sitting room, smoking his pipe and reading his newspapers, and Tom would go across the street and essentially sit at the captain's knee and hear stories about history and hear stories about the Navy.
Tom and I became acquainted when I was still a young lawyer, and we were both on the board of the Erie Philharmonic. They were thinking of either tearing down the Warner or making it into a multiplex. That's one of the first times I realized Tom's commitment to community, to historic preservation, and to really the stabilization of the downtown neighborhoods.
20 years ago, Tom Hagen invaded in a positive way a neighborhood called the Hood and changed the entire dynamic of that neighborhood and built the playground there, utilizing young people who were a part of the problem, but he transformed them to make them an asset to the community. So now today, because of what he did, there are no crack houses in that neighborhood. Young people are not standing on the street corner selling drugs. It is a beautiful neighborhood today because of the investment that Tom Hagen made in actually transforming that neighborhood.
Tom and Susan, the entire Hagen family, have been very generous donators to the city of Erie in northwestern Pennsylvania for many years. And although we see their name attached to many things publicly, Tom and Susan have given much more privately on a very low-level, humble basis.
There's always a twinkle and there's always a laugh when we're around with the family, and you can count on Tom to kind of grin at things. As a grandfather, he takes them to Disney movies and falls asleep. So Tom would stay awake for Harry Potter.
I think we're very fortunate in Erie that we have a family like that, and particularly led by Tom right now, that are willing to reinvest their resources that came from Erie back to Erie.
Captain Tom was incredibly close with his grandfather. He was raised by him right here on West 6th Street. His grandfather was very accomplished in the Navy, originally from Buffalo. His name was Captain Frank Bailey. It is where Tom gets his middle name, Bailey.
A number of years ago, Tom came to visit the Pierce Arrow Museum in Buffalo and related the story that his grandfather was an executive at Pierce Arrow, having lived within 500 feet of this building, having worked at Pierce Arrow and being a World War I naval hero. All things that are history are important to Tom are important to us.
When Tom is involved in something, others want to follow, others want to engage. And so just knowing that he's engaged in things like Erie Downtown Development Corp, when he was involved with the Historical Society, it makes people want to become engaged and follow and participate, because they know when Tom does something, it's going to be a success.
Tom Hagen has given us not only a vision of our past and a vision of a possible present, but a vision of an acceptable and potential future. He has given us a sense of lifeblood in this city that will be seen as his eternal gift.
The true legacy of life is when you're blessed with resources, how you make the world and the people who live in the cities that you live in a much better place. And I can think of no better person than the way that Tom Hagen has been able to share his blessings with others and to truly make the lives of others much better.
On behalf of all of us who love the city and love the region, I would just say thank you and congratulations. And I think Mr. Dahl would be very proud of Mr. Hagen. Well done.